Hello everyone, it's Jen again, and it's the end of May. It's the end of the first month of GameJam. So into week 4, and again, I'm somewhat ahead in certain ways and somewhat behind in certain ways. So I think that kind of evens itself out as to where I am in regards to what my original plan was. I'm definitely behind, but as far as my more realistic goals, I think I'm still on track. Crossing fingers. So yeah, hopefully we're in okay shape. Let me start out by showing what I've got done so far. So let's load this. I think the last time I was finished with that first room, I worked on the second room. We have the sub rooms done of these second rooms. Whoops. We have that room done. This room done. This room done. And this room done. So I have 2 more rooms to finish for this first level, and then I need to script a bunch of the extra scenes and a bunch of extra conditionals. And I have some more sprite expressions to finish, and at least 1 or 2 kind of cutscenes, very short cutscenes. Let me show you an example. So I was working on this cutscene for the introduction for when you meet your vassal for the first time. You're basically summoning him. And you can see here, I had created this sprite, and I had even rigged the sprite, all the way down. And then I realized that I actually wanted to crop off some of it because I didn't want this cutscene for the character sprite to be smaller or the same size as the regular in-game sprite, or live when what do I call it, for the normal dialogue scenes, since this one was supposed to be a little bit more cinematic. And so it's 10 seconds long. I have kind of this transition because they're kind of supposed to be appearing from this kind of bright white light. So that's kind of why I had it introduced that way. And yeah, it's 10 seconds of animation, and it's taken me longer. I mean, it took me probably an entire day just to animate it, an entire day to paint the sprite, and a second day, or I should say 1 day to draw and paint the sprite, and another day to prepare the layers for animation, rig it, and animate it. So it doesn't look like a whole lot when you look at it. I mean, it looks like he barely moves, but I've noticed something about this kind of vector style animation, that if you don't have parts moving at every part in the animation, then suddenly those parts that aren't moving, let me back up. So if you have parts that move and parts that don't really move, then the parts that don't move stand out as being a separate piece than the rest of the character. So even though I don't need things like his collar to move to show the expression that I'm trying to make, you can see that I actually moved the edge of his collar. And in fact, all the parts of him are moving subtly, even kind of the wrinkles around his stomach. are moving a little bit, and all the layers of his hair, even this side, which is very barely moving because I didn't really render that layer well for giving it much movement. All those parts have to move, or else it just, to me, feels like suddenly you can see where the pieces of him, which parts are animated, and then like you can see where certain parts are like cut that are not moving. And so every single like little part of him has to kind of move a little bit, or else the stiffness of it kind of like stands out. But then we run into a conundrum because it is just a drawing, so there's only so much that you can like push certain parts to move without having to like, I don't know, rig every single little piece of him separately, which would make the file like way too large and unwieldy for me to animate very quickly. Like it would take me like probably an entire day or two to just prep it, which is not like the type of timeline that I have. So, and you also kind of start losing track of like some of the pieces if it like gets really out of hand. So I get around this kind of by like, one, keeping my overall movement very limited, and just focusing on the little details to kind of try to keep the overall movement from like looking stiff. So that's generally my goal with these animations, is I don't try to animate anything big, because I know that coming from a more traditional animation background, this style of vector animation is never going to give me like the type of result that I want in comparison to like hand drawing every keyframe. So I try to keep the movement like very limited, and within that very limited movement I try to make that as smooth and expressive as I can. So that is that's the animated cutscene that I'm doing, and you can kind of see that the lighting here has like two separate layers of kind of effects as well. So it's very kind of like subtle by the end, but if you compare like this last frame, and this is kind of more the lighting of the scene in general, but like during the summoning, I didn't go straight from like this white to this fade to where he appears to the default background, because it was just a little bit too abrupt. So I added a second layer of lighting there to do a more slow and subtle transition to the lighting of the actual scene. This introduction where he becomes visible and his animating, so it has that that little bit more of a subtle transition from this very like kind of abrupt transition, because of the way that I created this silhouette and stuff. I really couldn't animate it very much. So yeah, most of this opacity transitions I will usually do as a see if it shows, as a linear transition, where it just moves at a constant rate of like lightning, or where his parts will switch out, like this mouth here will swap out to a different mouth drawing here. Those, or like when his eye switches out to a closed eye, those have no transitional effect. They swap instantaneously. Other movements, such as like his arm or his hair, I will always use, see if I can find the keyframe. Oh, where is my, I don't want to create a new keyframe, so I just want to, okay. I will always use a sine easing, which means that it transitions from one position to the next with a easing in slowly, moving up to speed, and then easing out at the end. Because all motions that occur naturally have to build momentum and then slow to the stop to reach their final position. So that's why I use the sign easing for all the other animation movements. All right, well, that's that. And I have some files that I've prepped for the next scene. Let me start programming it. I usually start with building the label from the floor first. I'm gonna take C, room C, because it's kind of a similar, actually I'll just take this room CC, and I'm just gonna duplicate it. And this is gonna be room D. So I'm gonna go ahead in here and try to keep all my naming conventions like kind of the same so that I don't have to go in here and retype all these completely. Whoops, D. I might have to declare that room at some point. I don't know if it's been programmed. Do we have a master layer? Or are we going to have a master layer? Yes, we are going to have show screen door. And we're also going to have that overgrowth. Screen. We are going to show our protagonist and her box and her bar, and we are going to show the action buttons too. This dialogue will all get probably tweaked. Sure why I have it in two places. I think I don't want this here, so I should probably get rid of that redundant call buttons. I think I want to show it after the protagonist chats. We do keep it up here. Wow, I keep pressing the wrong. I use a couple different computers and a couple different keyboards, so like my keys are in different places. I'm not like a good touch typist. I tend to just be able to type based on like using the same keyboard over and over again. That's how I kind of know where the keys are. And then when I have to switch keyboards and computers and operating systems, then my ability to use hotkeys efficiently kind of just is not that great. Okay, so new label. Now we need to make our images. So I've got my background base image already there. I'm gonna make my new layer, and I need the door. This is going to be door image. And I need overgrowth. Okay. I think that's all I need to do to set my images for the scene. Let's go ahead back to the main script and start testing it. Oh, I didn't define my variables yet. I'm thinking in my head I'm gonna need these, but I didn't define them yet. So I think I usually define my variables in this kind of action. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. I'll name it T. Default door open 0 D underscore door. Default earth false. And actually I realized something that I'm going to also, I'm going to show this if it's true. Okay. I know. See, and it's freaking out because I copied that label and I haven't finished changing it yet. Okay, so it's going to be D. We're still going to want the action screens there. That's no action. And this is going to be if open F01D door equals false. And then make a new label. This is going to be door related variables, and this is going to be the overgrowth related variables. If overgrowth equals false. Let's go ahead and change these labels real quick. Let's find door. So I want to be able to find my hotspots. And we're going to call this all that's gonna get, all this is gonna change, but let's save this so that hopefully, okay, so I wanted to be able to do this, so I can go into Shift D. And I can go to my image location picker, and I'm going to go to BG, and then I'm going to find the base image. And I want to be able to make this a hotspot. It's going to be for clicking on the door and observing that it's blocked off by a bunch of rocks. So if the door is not open, then if they click on that area, it's going to give them a certain message, like asking them to open that. And then if it is I mean, I could just do else here. I should have just done else there. Sometimes I have like another conditional. Like if I have a key, but the door's still not unlocked, then I'll have them say something there. But in this case, there's no key, there's just removing the boulders, so I don't think I need to do anything else there. And let's call it revealed, because and at some point we're going to make another label for that too. And she's going to like basically say I have my iPad plugged in right now trying to charge, and every now and then it likes to bug me. Okay. These don't need to be here. I will have to change that more of that dialog later, but right now I just want to get that. Okay, so if overgrowth, we want to plant seeds, so and I'm going to have 2 of these spots. So this is going to be plant, let's do it by the color of the pot, like black pot. And you're going to be able to access both of these at the same time. So let's get, okay. I don't know why I loaded this over. I want to go back to this image location picker. G. D. I want this. Black pot. And I want the white pot. Let's get the soil at the top. Just in case somebody clicks the edge of the soil. Won't be generous. And plant. Actually, we'll just copy label and I want to give the player the opportunity to put the white pot in. They're going to have both white seeds and black seeds, hopefully. So there's going to be, pretty sure, yeah, I made black seed and white seed variables. So this is going to be if you plant a white seed in the black pot, and this is going to be if you plant a black seed in the black pot. And the same here. Okay. Checkpoints. Okay, so it's going to be if black pot white equals true, and white pot black is true. Well, I'll probably just put, where's overgrowth? And else. Nothing happening yet. Goodness. Okay. Oh, I need to make these switch. So I'm going to do if, whoops, black pot white, white is not equal true. I'm going to give them the option actually to plant the seed. So menu if white seed equals true. We'll do plant white seed. I'll do that for the black seed option. I don't know why I had to switch these around. They don't really need to be switched. I needed to switch these. I didn't have to switch. I don't know why I did that. Okay, and I want to... And I think since it's at the end of this script, it should just be able to go back to this place. And let's have her say something here. Whoa. Well, we'll go back there and fix that later, but that's generally how I start setting up my rooms. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Hopefully I'll have a lot more progress to show. Take care, have a good week, and don't forget to enjoy that process. Bye.